What's up guys, Bo here again, and I'm being a trooper today. I'm doing 4 videos. Yeah, my original plan was to hit 50 and then start to slow down, but we'll see what happens. I had these ideas anyway, so I thought I would share them with you. But in this video, which is unscripted again, so we'll see how I fare through. I think I'm going to take it a bit slower so that I don't kind of, everything I say has been deliberately thought about. Right. So already I'm kind of teaching you how to speak from your heart, basically, without the need to be guided by something else. But essentially, in this entry, I want to talk to you about something known as presence, right? And I haven't read any of Eckhart Tolle's books, but I know that he talks about this concept in his book, The Power of Now, and possibly in his other books. But again, I haven't read his books yet. But essentially, presence is a very, very, very important principle, right? And what presence is the opening of oneself completely to the complete truth of reality, right? That's what it means. That's how we define it. Presence is the unconditional and kind of whole opening of oneself. Acceptance. Although I'm a bit wary of that term because acceptance does have a negative connotation to it. But it is the opening of oneself fully to the complete truth of the world, but from their point of view, right? And this concept, this principle, is the common principle that I have identified in all of the teachings of the teachers that I admire, So, just to list a few of them: Steve Pavlina, he got me into personal development first off. Teal Swan, she's an amazing spiritual teacher with revolutionary ideas and a revolutionary way of teaching. Who else? There's probably other people, but I just can't think of them at the top of my head. Elliot Hulse, who's a strength and conditioning coach, but he did a load of videos where he just shared his ideas. And actually, yeah, his vlogs, his videos are what kind of inspired me to do this style of video, where it's just raw and unedited and just completely from the heart, right? And yeah, there are other people, and all of these people, right? They're in different niches. They have different kind of the symbolic kind of teachings that they give to people are all different, symbolically. But the core principle that I've identified with each of these amazing people, right, and why I admire them so fucking much, is their teaching of this concept, this principle of presence, right? So, to dive deeper into this, right, presence is, Steve Pavlina refers to it as kind of heart, heart-centered living, I guess. Although, Teal Swan refers to this as spirituality 3.0, right? Elliot Hulse refers to this as breathing into your balls and trusting your body, that kind of thing. But ultimately, what all of these teachings mean is that, and this is what I call tapping into your sensitivity. The process that I outlined in tapping into your sensitivity is following your joy and delving into your darkness, right? And those two basically make up this principle of presence, right? Because what is presence, right? What does it mean to be fully open to one's reality, to one's truth? What does it mean to be unconditionally accepting of our reality, right? And it is a state of utter connection, to be connected to everything around you, right? And what does it mean to be insensitive? From my definition, to be insensitive means to be disconnected from your energetic feeling, right? And like I outlined in the video Logic via Emotion Part 3, where it talks about how logic is a snapshot, and your energy, your feeling center, is how you perceive reality, like right now, like this present moment, as it occurs, as it unravels, right? And to go deeper, you are receiving energy from your surroundings, and you are also donating energy to your surroundings, right? So essentially, to be in a state of presence means you need to connect with everything that you feel all the time, right? Easier said than done, I know. But it means also, because at a certain kind of level of existence, you could say, right, there is no difference between good and bad, right? I presented the concept of oneness and duality to you guys in previous entries, and it is this idea that the world that we live in, the physical world that we live in, we observe contrast, right? We observe white and black. We observe good and bad. We observe attractive and unattractive, things like that. What is wanted and what is unwanted. We see there is this divide, there is this polarity in life, right? But as we kind of go higher and higher into the realms of spirituality, and like I say, like I like to say, spirituality is not it's not like God and heaven and stuff like that. Really, those are symbols that spiritual people use to kind of point at, like the existence of, well, to point at the metaphysical aspects of reality. But really, all spirituality is, it's in our feelings, it's in our thinking, right? And it is in the essence of everything that exists, right? And at a certain point in this kind of multi-dimensional tier, like these multi-dimensional tiers of reality, which all exist, simultaneously, there comes a point where basically there is no good or bad, right? We've transcended that. Like, there is no black and white. Like, they both merge into a oneness, right? And it gets to a point where they both exist. It's not either or, it's and, right? So what this means is, this kind of trickles down into our physical existence, right? So what this means is that, to start off with, there is going to be good and bad in the world, right? That's just how reality is, right? Yeah, reality is basically like a swinging pendulum, right? And what we need to realize is that the pendulum needs to reach both sides. Like, so if you imagine both ends of the swing of the pendulum as good and bad, right? We need both to have a full motion, right? So there's always going to be good and bad in the world, right? And the biggest mistake that we can make is basically to shut out one aspect of that thing. And to go further, if we shut off one thing, then we shut out everything, right? Like I mentioned with sensitivity, when we choose to become insensitive, or we've been conditioned to, then we think that we're suppressing all the bad stuff, and then we get more of the good stuff, right? But suppression of energy actually suppresses all energy, right? Because energy is not polar. Well, in the sense of, in this sense where it's like good and bad, it is. I hope I'm saying the right thing here, but it is basically when we shut off our sensitivity, it squashes all sensitivity. Like, the good and the bad go down. Like, we start to feel nothing at all, right? And so, and it's interesting to observe that many of us in society, we kind of we kind of have that perception, where we think that suppressing the bad will lead to kind of more of the good. Like, we think that getting rid of the black will lead to more white. Whereas the two things are complementary, right? They cannot exist without the other, right? But it's understandable, because from a human perspective, from the physical perspective, it's we experience something that we want. We experience something that we desire, and we experience something that we don't want. That is that repulses us, right? So, to be successful in life, to live a life that is full, and again, successful is a loaded term, but to live life in such a way where you feel the most alive, where you feel that you've lived life to the fullest, right? We have to embrace presence. So we have to learn to stop suppressing aspects of reality just because we perceive them as bad, and to only go in the direction of things we perceive as good, because too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? Too much of a bad thing could be a good thing, right? Like I say, it's all about balance, right? So we need to stop making the mistake of suppressing what we feel in our daily existence, and to start to open ourselves up fully to reality as it is, to our truth, right? To what we feel, right? And that also entails not 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 delegating, not deferring our feelings, our decisions, our ideals to other people, right? It means coming back within to our subjective experience, our subjective knowledge, and feeling for ourselves what is right for us, right? Because that is the only way that we can come into full presence, with our reality. Because we can't help it that we have one body through which we perceive all of reality, right? Well, who knows? But yeah, that is how we perceive our reality, through our bodies, right? So we need to we need to basically put in importance in how we feel the reality should be, in order to accurately judge reality for what it is, right? And we will find that once we become present, well, the first thing that will happen is that we will get hurt, right? We will feel more pain, right? And no surprises there, right? Part of the kind of process of becoming more present, to become more sensitive, all of these things, because they're all literally the same thing, presence, right? It's all about just being completely sensing of the moment, right? To be completely accepting of the moment. Is we'll get hurt, right? Because we've been suppressing because the reason that we suppress is to protect ourselves, right? To defend ourselves from what is hurtful to us, right? And that's fine. That's survival, and that's how we kind of stay sane and stuff like that. That's how we protect ourselves. But what that ultimately leads to is a state of kind of disconnection from reality. Like, we start to avoid things, right? And avoiding things is not a good thing, because we start to, we just start to feel like we're not truly alive, right? And that is probably, if people were honest in this society, that is how people feel in this society. People in this society don't feel like they're alive at all. Like, people just feel like, in all honesty, the people just feel like, it's just like this. They feel like they're just batteries, like in the Matrix or something. Like, if people were honest with themselves, that's how they feel. No one feels truly alive because they're not present, right? So the first thing that's going to happen is that we get hurt, right? And a lot of people have, massive hang-ups for this. Yes, being hurt sucks. Like, feeling pain sucks. But like I mentioned in, learning from pain, if you're a sensitive person, it's essential. Through pain is how we learn to traverse life effectively, right? And also, through pain is how we experience, our most kind of euphoric love for life. How we experience our most emphatic, just like passion for like life, like, yes, I'm fucking alive right now, I may be hurting, I hurt every day, but I love every day, I feel like there's nothing wrong with me, and I don't have to hold back for anything, I'm living this life to the fullest. I don't have to like fucking stuff down my feelings anymore. I can just go through life free, right? Freedom. That is why we have to be present, right? Because it frees us, like the present moment frees us, right? So this is, again, I will stress this, it's a very important concept, right? And again, with all important concepts, I'll probably come back to it, but yeah. So, practical steps. Again, essentially, I use the word presence because it's like kind of like a more universal way of describing this kind of being present with everything that you feel, and not to discriminate basically between good and bad, right? I call it, I've called it tapping into your sensitivity, becoming more sensitive in previous videos. So really, the concrete kind of advice, the practical steps, comes from, tapping into your sensitivity. So that process that outlined where follow your joy, and then delve into your darkness, and to accept both, right? And to see both for what they truly are, right? Because you'll find, you'll find, things that you love, joy and passion and stuff like that. But you'll also find really curious things that, make you feel like absolute shit. Like, you feel like, oh my God, like, I did not know I was such a dark motherfucker. I did not know I had such dark thoughts and dark feelings. And it's painful in the moment, but you see both sides of it, and it's so cool. It's like, wow, I can feel really fucking amazing, like beyond what words can even describe, like beyond what I can even communicate to other people. But also, I can feel like complete fucking shit, like like the worst of the worst, like death would, death would be better for me, and that really gritty feeling that you feel, and it's like, this is the extent of the what I can feel in life, and it's like fucking amazing, right? And yeah, and it's scary, right? I'm sure there are people who watch these videos that I do, and one other thing that's in common with people that I admire, like teachers I admire, and I hope that I embody myself as well, is that they will piss you off. They will challenge your perception of reality, because the best teachers are the teachers who are not afraid to speak their truth, right? Even if that means disturbing other people's perceptions of reality, right? Because ultimately, it is needed, right? Like, we can't just live in we can't just live like fucking sunshine rainbow lives for the rest of our lives, right? Well, if we try and do that, what's going to happen? The darkness is just going to sweep back in. The fear is just going to sweep back in, and we're just going to keep denying it. And it's like, it's a waste of energy. It's like you're going to feel like you're going to be lying on your deathbed, and you're going to be like, I wasted 80 years of my life, right? I waited 80 years of my life just doing this pointless cycle where I'm just like, why did I just not why did I not live life to a fuller extent, And I don't want you to be that person, right? So, that is presence, right? Presence is what I call tapping into your sensitivity, becoming more sensitive, right, to energy. It involves not only following your joy and going in the direction of your joy, but it also involves tapping into your darkness and seeing the extent of feeling. Presence is not about feeling better. This is a kind of a quote that I'm paraphrasing from Teal Swan, but it's not becoming more spiritual. Well, that's her kind of angle in it, but to find peace and freedom does not only entail going towards your joy, right? It also entails going in the direction of your darkness. So it's not about feeling better, it's about feeling more. It's about feeling more holy, right? And that is the crux of becoming more sensitive and to be present, right? To feel, not to feel better per se, but to feel unconditionally, right? So that is presence. I hope that's been helpful, and this is a very important concept, so I'm going to say it again. But cool. Awesome. I will see you in the next video. Peace, and keep it real, and keep being sensitive. Alright, bye.